I can't believe I'm doing this again. These online dating services, they always match me with guys pretending to be chicks. Alright, let's get this over with. Grammaton Cleric number 463 of the 2nd Division reporting for duty, and my online date. Computer, initiate online date.
Welcome Grammaton Cleric number 463 of the 2nd Division. Beginning connection to online dating service.
Oh boy.
Please stand by while we connect to your latest match.
Hello, Shawn. Nice to see you back on YouTube. Let's talk about morality.
Lady in red.
Well, I wasn't exactly lying when I said that it was nice to see you back. It's been a crazy year without you here, but now that you are back, let's talk a little bit about your latest video. You begin your video with a rather lengthy explanation of, I believe it was the introduction to a book you've read. I think it would be a good premise for a science fiction novel.
Well, I think we both have an affinity for science fiction, if you know what I'm talking about. No, but seriously, will you marry me?
The thesis of your video appears to be that before the Enlightenment, there were certain objective standards of morality.
No, that's not what I said. You see, objective morals, if they exist forever and are unchanging even if our society or culture rejects them. So the issue at hand, as I will reiterate, is this. Do objective morals exist even if we reject them? Because on the grounds of the Enlightenment project, we have not refuted their existence. So just because people do not adhere to biblical standards, they have not refuted them as the absolute moral guideline by which all humanity will be judged.
Ever since free thinking and questioning of traditional values has become commonplace in our society, these objective standards of morality have fallen by the wayside and become basically meaningless.
Really thought you were the one. I take it all back. We're not getting married, and I'm quitting the clergy. How can I be enforced on a team without communication? How can we have a relationship if you don't hear what I'm trying to say? So let me say it again. I never said that before the Enlightenment period there was objective morals and now after the Enlightenment there isn't. Nor does the fact that our modern culture rejects objective morals somehow make objective morals meaningless if indeed they exist, which is what we're talking about here. What I did say was that prior to the Enlightenment there was an awareness and justification for a belief in objective morals, and the Enlightenment project has rebelled against that understanding, but I feel that they haven't done a proper job in refuting objective morals. After all, if science, which is really the leading edge of the Enlightenment period, is unable to detect objective morals, that does not exclude them from existence. My entire point was, even if our culture says something like abortion or homosexuality is okay because they've rejected objective morals, does not itself mean objective morals don't exist, or that people who engage in these behaviors will not be judged by God one day. That's all I was trying to say. Now, I wasn't trying to prove that the Bible is true, or that objective morality was true. I was only saying that there used to be an understanding of where these values came from and what the justification was for them. And now in the Enlightenment period, here we are in modernity, and we no longer have a justification for saying what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is evil. We have personal preferences, we have emotivism, which is, I feel that that is wrong, but my feelings don't determine right and wrong.
First, I'd like to address the first assumption you make, and that's the idea that there was an objective standard of morality pre-Enlightenment.
I never assumed anything like that. I asked the question, do objective morals exist? If they existed before the Enlightenment, then they continue to exist now, even if people disagree on those objective morals. Because remember, to be objective is to be external to us. It's not subjective. It's not subject to us. So even if we disagree on the objective moral standard, that does not change the objective moral standard. Just because people have different views of morality, if there's an objective standard, they are wrong. That's the point. And the question is, has the Enlightenment project gone about doing a proper job in refuting objective morals? Now you would say,
if you look back throughout history, it's really difficult to say that there has been one universal objective standard of morality.
Why are you looking to people for an objective standard? The very definition of an objective standard is something external to humanity that holds all men accountable, regardless if they disagree with that standard. So just looking at cultures in the past and saying, well, they didn't have an objective morality, or look how many disagreements there were among the cultures, does not prove that objective morality does not exist. This is going to be the most important part of the video, so pay attention. Morality is the study of what is right and what is wrong, and it assumes that people are not always going to do what is right, because that's why we have the vocabulary of right and wrong. If people did what was right all the time, we wouldn't have to discuss morality. Isn't that the case? So the very fact that we're talking about right and wrong means that we're going to have to try and discover a way of defining what is right and what is wrong. And I said that before the Enlightenment, there was a justification, a system called objective morality, which allowed us to determine which behaviors were right and which were wrong. Now, I'm not saying people disagreed on what the objective moral standard is. I'm not talking about the content, or is homosexuality specifically right or wrong. Forget about the specifics. The issue is, does an objective standard exist, period. Forget what that standard is. And just because people disagree as to what that standard is, just because cultures in history or even in the present have differing views on what is moral and what is not, does not itself disprove that an objective morality exists. That's my point.
Even within communities of Bible believers, there have been disagreements on exactly what God's law meant, or what God commanded, or how to interpret the Bible.
The problem here, again, is you're looking to people rather than to the objective standard. You're saying there seems to be disagreement as to what the objective standard is, therefore there is no objective standard. Wrong. If the Bible is the objective standard that we're looking for, then whoever is interpreting it wrong is wrong. Let's take an example. There are Christians who say that abortion or homosexuality are okay according to the Bible, and others say, no, the Bible is clear that these things are wrong. So who is right? If you are correct that morality is subjective, then you're right. Neither of them are right or wrong. If what I'm saying is true, that the Bible is an objective standard, then that also means there's a correct interpretation, and that those who are interpreting it wrong are wrong. Just because people can interpret it differently does not mean that every interpretation is equally valid. Now your question is, how can we know that the Bible is the objective standard, and how can we know the correct interpretation? That's